Hello and welcome back. So today we are talking about how to cast a spell. So these are my 5 things that I always review before I go into doing any spell work, and I think it would be helpful for other people, especially beginners when you're just starting out trying to learn how to do spells. So number 1 is pick your intention. Ask yourself, why are you casting this spell? Get really specific with this. And what is your intended outcome? And try and make this as realistic as possible. You can do a prosperity spell, but odds are pretty good that you aren't going to suddenly manifest about $30 billion overnight. So being realistic with what you want to happen. Getting your intention specific can be kind of a little challenging at times because it's like you want to get to the very end result as quickly as possible, but sometimes that can take a little bit more time, and sometimes it's easier to take your big project that you want to happen and break it down into smaller pieces and smaller milestones, and then doing spells for those to eventually lead to the big one. The next step is, what are your real world actions to follow that spell? So as lovely as it is to light a candle, create a crystal grid, mix all of your herbs, burn them, and all of that stuff, you do have to follow it up with real world action. So what are you going to do? In this example, let's say you have done your spell and you're going to start off trying to get that new job. So you've done the spell, you've gotten your specifics down of exactly what you intend to do, and now it's time to refresh that resume, and it's time to start looking at where around you is hiring, what is like the, median pay that you're looking towards, and how qualified you are, and are there any job fairs going on or any just help wanted signs around. Start paying attention to that stuff. Again, the real world action to follow up on the spells you've done. Number 3 is to figure out what method of this spell are you going to do. So are you going to do a crystal grid? Are you going to do a candle spell? Are you going to do an herbal bath of sorts? Like, what is the method of the spell work that you're going to do? Oftentimes it's a combination of a lot of different things. Are you going to do one that you write up yourself? Is that one in a book that already has everything laid out for you? Figure out the how of what you're going to do for your spell. Number 4 is to set a timeline for your spell. Now, don't set it for the next 3 days and expect it to happen. Magic takes time. However, if you are planning on getting something accomplished within the next 1 to 3 months, that's a little bit more realistic. It can take longer, it can take up to 6 months or even a year, but usually around 3 months you can either see if your spell is working or if it's not. Even if it hasn't completely manifested, you might start to notice slight changes. You might have been able to start interviewing for places, or you might have gotten a raise, something along those lines, but progressively you're going to start to see that incline. But it's really nice when you do a spell to set a timeline, and then you're going to check in and see what's working and what isn't. And it's best to do this before you actually complete your spell, because otherwise you're just going to expect it to happen overnight or very quickly, when in reality 1 to 3 months takes a very long time to happen. And so a lot of times it can feel like it's been so long since you did that spell and it's only been 2 weeks. And then the last step that I do when planning any kind of spell work is the timing. Now, this can be really complicated if you want it to be. You could go down to what day of the week you're doing this on and looking up the different meanings for the days of the week. Hourly timing. You could do astrological timing, either with the sun or the moon or both. And also moon phases and seasons. And so once you figure out the time that you want to do it, then go ahead and do your spell. So if you wanted to do like a banishing debt kind of a spell, you might want to do that on a Saturday. That's usually best associated with banishment and whatnots. Going along with our example, since you're trying to manifest something into your life, you might want to do it during the waxing or full moon, or you might want to do it on the new moon for new beginnings. You also might want to do it during the growing seasons, so that could be from Ostara into Beltane. So once you have your timing picked out and you've got all of these other steps done, that's usually when I will go ahead and get all of the stuff gathered and prepared for my spell, and then complete it at whatever the timeline is. So anyways, this is just my 5 steps of how I go about casting spells. I'm curious what you guys do for yours in the comments down below. Thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names here on the screen. If you would like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Do make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post every single day, and until tomorrow, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.